نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي ربنا زدنا علما. There's a dua of the Prophet ﷺ that Allahumma inni as'aluka hubbaka. O Allah, I ask you for your love, that you love me and I love you. Allahumma inni as'aluka hubbaka wa hubba man yuhibbuka, and also the love of those whom you love. That make me love those people whom you love. Wa hubba amalin, and the love of those actions yuballighuni ila hubbik, or yuqarribuni ila hubbik, that will make me close to that which you love. Meaning, make me love those actions that will help me get closer to you. Yesterday we learned about the different ways in which we can draw closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we learned that a person draws closer to Allah, how? By performing the actions which Allah loves, which Allah has legislated. Because whatever you command is that which you love. So whatever Allah has commanded, it is actually those actions which He loves. So this is why we see that the Prophet ﷺ used to pray to Allah that, oh Allah, grant me your love, grant me the love of those people whom you love, and grant me the love of those actions which you love, which will draw me closer to you. Because there may be many actions which we know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala likes, He approves of, but we find them difficult to do. Isn't that so? Like for example, reciting Quran even. We learned that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves that when a servant recites the Quran. When a prophet of Allah recites the Quran, Allah listens to that attentively. He loves to listen to that. But unfortunately, the recitation of the Quran might be difficult for some of us. We might find it hard to sit with the Quran, open it up and recite it. Likewise, salah. We learned that salah is qurban. It is an action that draws the servant close to Allah. But yet we see that sometimes we find it difficult to pray. Despite the fact that it's such a beloved action to Allah, we find it difficult to pray. So what is missing there? Love. Because when love comes, then action becomes easy. Like for instance, if you love a particular individual, then standing and preparing food for them for 3-4 hours is really not difficult. Even though you're exhausted at the end, it's not a big deal. Why? Because you love them, so you love to serve them. You love to do anything for them. Then the most difficult action also becomes easy. But if that love is missing, then the most easy action can become difficult. So this is why we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the ability to love Him and also love those actions which He loves so that we can perform them. And today, inshallah, we're going to study about those servants of Allah which love Allah, who are obedient to Allah, who are not hesitant when it comes to following the commands of Allah, no matter what they are. And who are those close servants to Allah? The angels, al-malaika. And believing in the angels is a part of Iman. It is a part of our faith. A person's Iman is not complete unless and until he believes in the angels. Because if you think about it, the angels are the ones who brought revelation. Right? The angels are the ones who carry out the commands that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives them. So believing in the angels is a part of faith. It is a part of Iman. Because the angels are the ones who brought revelation to the prophets. So a person cannot believe in the books unless and until he believes in the angels. A person cannot believe in the messengers until he believes in the angels. And the books, the prophets, they informed us about the coming of the Day of Judgment. So belief in the Day of Judgment is also not possible unless a person believes in the angels. So this is why we see that first pillar of faith is belief in Allah. And the second pillar of faith is belief in the angels. Which is why in the Quran, when Iman is mentioned, that Iman billah, belief in Allah, immediately, who is mentioned after that? The angels. Because belief in the angels is like the foundation of faith in other pillars of Iman. Now, the word that is used for the angels in Arabic is malaika. Does anyone know the meaning of the word malaika? What does it mean in the Arabic language? Does anyone know? Malaika is from uluka, which means message. So, angels are called malaika because they're carriers of messages. Which messages? Two kinds of messages. One, those which they have to convey. Those which they have to convey. So for instance, the angel Jibreel, he carried the message, he took the message from Allah and delivered it to Allah's prophets. So this is one way in which they are the carriers of messages. And secondly, they're also called malaika. Why? Because they carry out the messages that Allah gives them, meaning the commands that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives them. They're obedient servants of Allah who obey Allah. Any command that Allah gives them, what do the angels do? They carry it out without any hesitation, without any delay. Whether it is the command to prostrate, like for instance we learned that when Allah commanded the angels that when I've created Adam, then you all prostrate. What did the angels do? فَسَجَدُوا. They all prostrated immediately. But Iblis didn't, because he was not an angel and he was arrogant, so he decided not to prostrate. But we see that the angels, what did they do? They prostrated immediately. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has certain angels appointed over, for instance, the clouds. When Allah commands them that rain should fall at a particular place, then the angels, they drive those clouds, they move those clouds to that particular place. There's a very interesting story in which we learn that once there was a man who heard a sound that take this cloud to a particular land and it should rain over there. So this man, he was amazed at what's going on. So he followed, he saw the cloud and he followed it, and it rained on a particular piece of land, and the water, it flew and it collected in a particular land, and basically that land was irrigated. And the rain fell only on that piece of land. So he wondered, what's going on? Why here and not anywhere else? So he found the owner of that land, of that orchard, and he asked him that, who are you and what do you do? So basically that man said that this orchard, part of its produce I give in charity, part of it I spend on my family, and part of it I use to regrow my plants. So anyway, because of his charity, regular charity, we see that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also helped him. But Allah commanded the angels to drive the clouds to a particular place and cause them to rain at a particular place. So the angels, they carry out the commands of Allah, no matter what they are. And some scholars, they actually said that nothing happens except that there is an angel behind it. There are so many angels carrying out the commands of Allah. In hadith we learn that there is an angel appointed over the womb. Over the womb. Meaning, when a woman is pregnant, as soon as she conceives, then there's an angel that is appointed over there. At the initial stages, when that fetus is just a nutfa, the angel says, Ya Rabbi nutfa. Oh my Lord, it's a nutfa. So what happens? That nutfa, it grows and grows, and then the angel says, Ya Rabbi mudgha. Ya Rabbi, it has grown this much. Ya Rabbi, it has grown this much. So the angel is appointed over there. Angels are appointed in order to guard people, protect them, in order to record their deeds. And in fact, whatever role the angels are performing, what are they doing essentially? Obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They are the carriers, the executors of Allah's messages. They are obedient servants of Allah. And this is why they are defined as those servants which are muqarrabun, close to Allah. Why is it that they're close to Allah? Because they always obey Allah and they never disobey Him. Now human beings are far from this. We are people. We have the ability to disobey Allah. The angels don't have that capacity. They instinctively worship Allah. They instinctively obey Allah. And human beings have the ability to disobey Allah. So we see that the angels, they're close and they are obedient. So what draws us close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is also obedience and worship. This is the lesson that we learn in the angels. At the beginning of the Quran, Allah tells us about the story of Adam alayhi salam. And how when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created Adam, He told the angels, prostrate. The angels obeyed. They prostrated. Iblis did not prostrate. And instead of seeking forgiveness, what did he do? He was arrogant, and instead of accepting it as his fault, he blamed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he went on to take revenge from Adam alayhi salam. He went to the other extreme. Angels, very obedient. Iblis, shayateen, very disobedient. And then Adam alayhi salam, when he made a mistake, he had the choice to either follow the way of the angels or to follow the way of Iblis. And every single one of us, in fact, has that before us. Whenever we make a mistake, either we can follow the way of the angels or we can follow the way of shaitan. The way of the angels is of obedience, of surrender, of humility, of worship. And the way of shaitan is arrogance, persistence on sin, refusal to apologize, pride, blaming others. So what is the better way? What is it that will draw us closer to Allah? The way of the angels, of ibadun mukramun, of the honored servants of Allah, those who are humble and obedient. So inshallah today we're going to spend some time reviewing some things about the angels. Who are the angels? What roles do they play? What are their characteristics? What is it that the angels like? What is it that they come to? What is it that they are averse to, they run away from, they don't like? Because we want to be of those servants who are the friends of Allah's servants. So anyway, the angels, when it comes to their physical form, their physical characteristics, what comes to your mind about the angels? What do they look like? Or rather, what are they made from? They're made from light. In a hadith we learn that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created Adam from mud. He created the angels from light. And He created the jinn from fire. So the angels are made of light. This doesn't mean that they are light. So if a person sees light, he says, oh, an angel. No. This is just like human beings, we are made from mud. But are we mud? No, we're not mud. Our origin is mud, but our bodies are not made of mud. The origin is mud. And we understand this, that something could initiate from something that has certain characteristics, but once it grows, it has its own different, distinct characteristics. But the origin is different. So the angels, their origin is what? Light. And the angels, they have wings. How many wings do the angels have? Some have 2, some have 4, some have less, some have more. The angel Jibreel has how many wings? 600. In a hadith we learn that the Prophet ﷺ said, I saw Jibreel descending from the heavens with his huge size, filling the space between the heavens and the earth. Filling the space between the heavens and the earth. Meaning the entire horizon was filled with who? Jibreel. Just the other day when we were flying over here, and it was daytime so we could see, and I was amazed at how huge is the sky. I mean, those tall buildings, which when you stand next to, you have to literally, bend backwards in order to see the top of the building, and you can't even do that. But when you're up in the sky, and you look down, those buildings, those same buildings, they look so tiny, so small. How vast is the sky? How tall, how huge it is, how high it is. It's amazing. And imagine if the angel Jibreel filled the entire horizon. Just imagine his massive size. And in another hadith we learn that the angel, Jibreel, had 600 wings. Abdullah bin Mas'ud said the Prophet ﷺ saw Jibreel with 600 wings. And that just tells us the huge size of the angels. Some are big and some are small. They're different in their sizes. In a hadith which is in Sahih al-Jami' al-Saghir, we learned that the Prophet ﷺ said, I have been granted permission to speak of an angel. Meaning to inform you about an angel. one of the bearers of the throne, meaning one of those angels who carries the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How huge is he? What is his size? What is he like? His feet are in the lowest earth, and the throne is resting on his horn. And the distance from the earlobe of that angel to his shoulder. So where's your earlobe? Just, where your earring is? So imagine the distance between that and your shoulder. How much is it? Less than a handspan for us. But for that angel, how much is that distance? It is like that of a bird flying for 700 years. A bird flying for 700 years. Just imagine the huge size of that angel. And despite that size, look at his humility. That angel says, "Glory be to you." What is that angel doing continuously? Praising and glorifying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The angels are massive, but yet they don't have ego. They're strong. They're strong and able, but yet they're not arrogant. They realize the purpose for which they were created, to worship and obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And us human beings that are so tiny, so limited in our ability, if we refuse to worship Allah, we refuse to obey Allah, does He really need us? No. If we turn away, Allah is ghani. He has uncountable creatures, creation, that is continuously worshipping Him. He doesn't need our worship. And the angels, with their huge size, they're also very beautiful. And we see that the beauty of the angels is actually used as an example of beauty. So for example, if someone is really beautiful, they're described as an angel. Like we learned that in the story of Yusuf a.s., when the women, when they saw Yusuf a.s., they were amazed by his beauty, and all of them were holding knives. They cut their hands accidentally, and they said, قُلْنَا حَاشَ لِلَّهِ مَا هَذَا بَشَرًا إِنْ هَذَا إِلَّا مَلَكٌ كَرِيمٌ. They said, this is not a human being, he is an angel. Meaning he's so handsome, he cannot be a human being. He's got to be an angel. So the angels are known for their beauty. Abdullah bin Mas'ud said, the Messenger of Allah ﷺ saw Jibreel in his true form, and he had 600 wings, each of which filled the horizon. And there were multicolored pearls and rubies falling from his wings. Multicolored rubies and pearls falling from the wings of Jibreel. In another hadith, the Messenger of Allah ﷺ said, I saw Jibreel wearing silk-like clothes. When he went on Mi'raj, he saw Jibreel, and Jibreel was wearing silk-like clothes, and his feet were like pearls. His feet were like pearls, like water drops on green grass. So just imagine green leaves or green grass, and you see water droplets on it. How beautiful they look. Literally like pearls. So his feet were like that, so beautiful. And the angels, they vary in their size, they vary in their beauty, they vary in their strength. And we don't describe the angels with any gender. Because the mushrikeen of Makkah, they described the angels as female. And they were greatly criticized for that in the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that they are Ibadur Rahman. They're the servants of the Most Merciful. And we don't need to say they're male, they're female. Allahu A'lam. And the people who speak without knowledge, Allah says that Ashahidu khalqahum, did they see their creation? Did you actually see the angels as male or female that you say that they're like that? Somebody I know has a parrot, and I asked them, is it male or female? Is it a boy or a girl? And they said, we don't know. They basically asked the doctor if they could find out, the vet, and they said that there will be a test of $120, and then we can let you know the gender of this parrot. So, they don't know the gender of that parrot, so they don't say, oh, it's a boy, it's a girl, it's a male, it's a female. We don't talk without knowledge. So when it comes to the angels also, we don't need to talk without knowledge. It's something that does not mean anything to us. So what if they're male? So what if they're female? And so what if they don't have a gender? That doesn't matter to us. What we should focus on is the attributes of the angels, meaning their characteristics, the actions they perform, the lessons that we can learn for ourselves. And the angels, they do not eat or drink either. Human beings need to, the jinn need to, but the angels, they don't need to. There's a hadith in which we learn that the Prophet ﷺ, he was describing the time when the Dajjal will come out. And that time will be of great fitna. There will be a lot of difficulty for the Muslims. And the people of Iman, they will basically go into hiding. In order to protect their lives and in order to protect their faith, they will go into hiding. So Aisha radiallahu anha, she asked the Prophet ﷺ that what will suffice the believers in terms of food? Meaning, what will they eat then? If they're in hiding, what are they going to eat? What are they going to drink? How are they going to survive? The Prophet ﷺ said, the same that suffices the angels. Meaning the same that the angels live off of. And what is it that suffices the angels? Tasbih, saying Subhanallah. Takbir, saying Allahu Akbar. Tahmeed, saying Alhamdulillah. Tahleel, saying La ilaha illallah. So basically, doing the dhikr of Allah is the food of the angels. That is what gives them the strength. That is what makes them go on. And really for us also. Remember, like we discussed yesterday, our body has needs and our our heart has needs. So the body, it needs food and drink. It needs rest. But the soul, the heart, what does that need? Worship, the dhikr of Allah. And there are some scholars who said that, like for example, we learn about Ibn Taimiyyah that he used to do dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, reciting the Quran, doing dhikr of Allah from morning until almost Dhuhr time. Imagine, from morning until almost Dhuhr time, he would be continuously engaged in the worship of Allah, in remembering Allah. And why? When he was asked about that, because he considered that to be food for himself. That is what gave him strength. Because without it, how was he able to focus so much on spreading the truth, on preserving the truth? Because that was a time of great fitna also. He suffered a lot of persecution. So what gave him strength and determination was the spiritual food. And that was the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then the angels are also very strong. And they also possess great speed. Meaning they can move at a very high speed. So for example, in a hadith we learn in At-Tirmidhi that the Prophet ﷺ said about the night journey that when we reached Baytul Maqdis, when Jibreel and the Prophet ﷺ, they reached Baytul Maqdis, Jibreel pointed with his finger, causing a crack in the rock. Imagine a rock, and he pointed towards it, and that rock, what happened to it? Cracked. And then he tied Buraq to it, the creature in which the Prophet ﷺ rode. In another hadith in Bukhari, we learn about Hajar and Ismail, that when they were in the desert, and Hajar was basically running from Mount Safa to Marwa in search of water, and when she returned to Ismail to make sure that he was safe, she saw an angel at the place of Zamzam striking the earth with his heel, or he said his wing. He just struck the earth with his wing. And what happened? Water gushed out of it. If you look at the wings of birds, the feathers of birds, they're so delicate, aren't they? They're so delicate. But the wings of the angels, they cannot be compared with the wings of birds. No. They're much more strong, much more powerful. Imagine the angel that was sent over there just struck the ground and water gushed out of there. The angels also have the ability to take different forms. They do not get bored, and their dwelling place is the sky, the heavens. And the angels, just like the rest of the creation, will also die when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decides. Because كُلُّ شَيْءٍ هَالِكٍ إِلَّا وَجْهَهُ. Now, these were just a few characteristics of the angels that I put before you. When it comes to the numbers of the angels, any idea about how many angels there are? Any idea? How many people are there? What's the population of Dallas? Does anyone know? Muslims? How many Muslims are there in Dallas? No? 1 million? 5 million? 6 million? How many? 1 million? About 1 million Muslims. Okay. So just think about the Muslims for now, okay? 1 million. So imagine there are 1 million people. For every individual, we learn that there are 2 angels that are appointed just to record his deeds. So multiply 1 million by 2. So there are at least 2 million angels in Dallas. Okay? Then we learn that there are angels that are appointed to guard people, protect them, morning and evening. They come in shifts. Alright? So let's say one angel for the morning, one for the evening. Just hypothetically. So multiply that. Now again, how many at least? At least 4 million angels. Alright? At least 4 million in balance. Alright? Then there are angels that are appointed over the womb of every pregnant woman. Just imagine now, how many more? So if you start counting the number of the angels like this, really, it's beyond our capacity to know the exact number of the angels. And these are the angels just looking after who? Human beings. Just the human beings. And we see that there are angels appointed over many, many tasks. In a hadith we learn that the Prophet ﷺ, he told us about Baytul Ma'mur, which is the house of Allah above the Kaaba in the heavens. And according to some narrations, we find out that there is a house in every sky. There are 7 skies, so there is a house in every sky, in every sama. So Baytul Ma'mur, 70,000 angels pray in it every day. And they don't get a chance to return to it ever again. If you go for Hajj once, you can always go back again. Maybe 5 years later, maybe 10 years later. Right? Some people go every year or every other year. But imagine the angels, 70,000 of them, worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Baytul Ma'mur daily. But those 70,000, they don't ever get a chance to return again. Why? Because there are so many angels. It's really once in a lifetime opportunity for those angels. Now imagine 70,000 angels, multiply that by the number of days in a year. Just imagine how many angels there are. And there's a hadith which is in As-Silsilatu Sahiha, which tells us very beautifully, in very clear terms, as to how many angels there are. The Prophet ﷺ said, there are more angels on earth on Laylatul Qadr than the number of pebbles. How many pebbles are there on the earth? Imagine you go to a very rocky beach. How many pebbles are there? Uncountable. You can't count them. Does anyone have a fish tank? In a fish tank, you also put those small pebbles, gravel, right? How many are there? Can you count them? Impossible. It's beyond our ability. Now imagine on Laylatul Qadr, there are more angels on the earth than there are pebbles. وَمَا يَعْلَمُ جُنُودَ رَبِّكَ إِلَّا هُوَ. Only Allah knows about His junood, about His hosts, about the number of His creation, about the number of the angels. You might be wondering, why am I telling you about all this stuff? Just to make us realize that we are insignificant. In the sense that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala really doesn't need us. There are so many angels worshipping Him night and day. If a person worships Allah, then the scholar said that his level becomes higher than that of the angels. Imagine, higher than that of the angels. He draws even more closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But if a person turns away from Allah, then really, he's harming himself. He's losing himself. He's not being fair with himself. He's not being just with himself, because he has the potential to go so far ahead, so high. But if he turns away, then he's only harming himself. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not need us at all. Then there are different angels. First of all, we learn about the angel Jibreel. And his primary responsibility was to bring revelation to the prophets of Allah. And he also did many other things. Like for example, once the Prophet ﷺ was sick, and the angel Jibreel came and he asked him, "O Muhammad ﷺ, are you suffering?" And the Prophet ﷺ said, "Yes." So Jibreel said, "Bismillahi arqeek, min kulli shay'in yu'dheek, wa min kulli hasadi hasid." So basically he said du'as for the Prophet ﷺ in order that he may be healed. Then there is also the angel Mikael. And who is the angel Mikael? The one who is made responsible over rizq, over provision. And the angel Mikael has many other angels working along with him, under him. So for example, the angels that are appointed over the clouds, or the angels that are appointed over the mountains, all of them are basically working along with who? Angel Mikael. Then there's also the angel Israfil. And by the way, before we continue, with regards to angel Mikael, like I told you, that there are different angels working along with him. In a hadith we learned that some people, they asked the Prophet ﷺ about thunder. That what is this thunder that we hear? You know, when there's a storm, loud thunder, what is that? And the Prophet ﷺ said, Allah is one of the angels. Is one of the angels who is responsible for the clouds. And He drives the clouds wherever Allah wills. Wherever Allah wills. So when you look up at the sky, right now we don't really see any clouds. But every time you see a cloud, remind yourself there are angels appointed over there. And sometimes you see the clouds gliding so fast, as if they're swimming. And sometimes they're just sitting there, right? Or floating so slowly. So that is also determined by who? The angels that are appointed over the clouds in order to drive them wherever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills. Then there's the angel Israfil, who is appointed over the trumpet. That when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will command him to blow the trumpet, he will do that. In a hadith we learned the Prophet ﷺ said, how can I be at ease when the angel of the trumpet has placed his mouth upon it? Right now, this moment, the angel Israfil has his mouth placed upon the trumpet. And he has his forehead bent forward. It's like, when you're ready to blow, so his head is bent, his mouth is on the trumpet, and he is waiting the command of his Lord. That as soon as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will command him, blow the trumpet, he will blow instantly, immediately, without delay. The Prophet ﷺ said, how can I be at ease when the trumpet can be blown at any second, at any moment? Then there are also those angels which carry the throne of Allah. Then there are the angels who are appointed to bring death to people. Malakul Maut. There are angels who are appointed to take the soul of people at the time of death. Then there are also the angels who are appointed to guard people. Mujahid, he said that there is no person who does not have an angel appointed to protect him when he is asleep and when he is awake. Every person, with him are angels that are appointed to protect him when he is asleep and also when he is awake. From who? From the shayateen, from other people, from savage beasts. And none of these come to him, but the angel tells it, keep away. Keep away. Except for that which Allah has given permission to befall him. And sometimes you'll notice that you're, let's say, working in the kitchen, you accidentally drop a knife. And it falls down and it just misses your foot. Literally, it just misses your foot. It happened with me the other day. And believe me, if my foot was literally a few inches on the other side, the knife would have gone straight into my foot. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protected me. So sometimes it happens that something so dangerous that could really hurt you, it passes right by you. You're driving in a car, literally drives by you. And if it was a centimeter closer, you would have gone. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has appointed angels to protect people. So anything that approaches man, the angel says, keep away, keep away. But when something is meant to strike that person, then what happens to the angel? He moves away. He moves away. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ordered that this harm should strike that person. Then there are also angels that are appointed to encourage people to do good. There are the angels who guard people, and there are also angels who are appointed to encourage people to do good. In a hadith we learned, the Prophet ﷺ said, there is no one among you but there has been appointed for him a qareen, meaning a companion from the jinn, and a companion from among the angels. Now that jinn companion, the shaitan companion, what does that do? What does that do? يُوَسْوِسُ فِي صُدُورِ النَّاسِ. Right? He puts waswasa in the heart of people. And the angel, what does that do? The exact opposite. And this is elaborated in another hadith. The Prophet ﷺ said, the devil has a hold over the son of Adam and the angel has a hold over him. The devil has a hold and also the angel has a hold. Meaning both command the person. Both encourage the person. The hold of the devil tempts man to do evil and deny the truth. So every time we are encouraged to, listen to that music or look at that thing or read something that is not appropriate, that we should not be reading somebody's private messages or email. So that thought is put into our head by who? By who? By the shaitan. He is the one who tells us, read, look at that, listen to that. It's only a few minutes. What's the big deal? Enjoy, have fun. It's from shaitan. And the hold of the angel encourages man to do good and believe in the truth. So every time your heart tells you, stop, read this instead. Don't look at this, do that instead. Encouragement to do good. That is from who? The angel. In another hadith we learn when a person goes to bed, an angel and a devil rush towards him. When a person is going to bed, what happens? An angel and a devil both rush towards him. The angel says, end your day with something good. Before you sleep, do something good. The last thing you do should be something good. And the devil says, end your day with evil. So if he remembers Allah until sleep overtakes him, what happens? The angel expels the devil. Says, get out of here. You can't stay here now. And the angel spends the night watching over him. But this is when the last thing a person does before sleeping is something good. And what is that last thing that you can do? Dhikr of Allah. Say your du'as. Keep remembering Allah. Like the Prophet ﷺ told his daughter, right? That Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, Allahu Akbar, right? Because that also was an alternate for having a servant, right? Because that would relieve her of physical pain and exhaustion. And when the person wakes up, then what happens? An angel and a devil both hasten towards him. The angel says, start your day with something good. And the devil says, start your day with something evil. If a person praises Allah, then what happens? The angel expels the devil. If the first thing a person does on waking up is remember Allah, dhikr of Allah, then the angel expels the devil. Get out of here. And he spends the day watching over him. In hadith we learn that when a person goes to sleep, then the shaitan, he ties 3 knots. Right? And when a person wakes up and he remembers Allah, then what happens? The first knot is untied. It is opened up. And many times it happens that when we wake up in the morning, you hear the alarm, somebody wakes you up. You know you should get up. You have no reason to stay sleeping. But we tell ourselves, it's okay, 5 more minutes, what's the big deal? 10 more minutes, what's the big deal? That is from who? From the shaitan. Try this. Do dhikr of Allah immediately. Say Bismillah. Say Alhamdulillah alladhi ahyana ba'dama amatana wa ilayhi nushur. Remember Allah. Do dhikr of Allah. Because when you will do the dhikr of Allah, then what will happen? 1 knot will be loosened. That angel will be stronger. And he will expel the shaitan. And once the shaitan is expelled, then you just have to fight against yourself. Which is much easier than fighting against yourself and the shaitan. So try this. As soon as you wake up, do dhikr of Allah. So when a person does the dhikr of Allah upon waking up, the devil is expelled and the angel spends the day watching over him. This hadith is mentioned in Wabil Sayyid.